Okay, so we've been gone pretty much all day, and we just got back. Clay's been out here in the shop all day working, and he's put some more stuff on the motor. And there's a little green paint on it too. So I'm getting real excited about it. But he's got a few more parts that have got to come in before it's actually going to get nearly finished. But Clay thinks he's learned a few things about the motor, and he was trying to tell me that he doesn't think it's the original motor, but I'm going to have him explain all that.
This right here is the all mechanical 93 model pump. Doesn't have the computer connections for the throttle position sensor and all the other junk. This is the version of the 6.5 that you want. I'm going to turn it over.
Hey, what did you learn was wrong with this pump?
Okay.
Well, what did you learn that was causing us the issue with the pump?
This pump's missing the stop screw for like the idle. So if it turns back too far, it'll shut the motor off because it won't fuel it enough.
And from what I understand, if they have this tag on them, they've had one update done to them, but there's another update that's out. So we're going to need to eventually take this pump and have it done to get the second or third update done to it. I don't remember which it is, but we're not going to do that right now.
All right.
Okay.
This is a new timing cover off a pretty new Humvee. And you see it's right there. It's got a crank position sensor on the side of the cover. This truck doesn't need that. This is the timing gear, lower timing gear that was in the motor when we took it apart. And it has the pickup for the crank position sensor.
That would not have been on a 93.
Shouldn't have been on a 93 model truck.
Okay.
And by the way it looks, this harmonic balancer is specific for this because I bought a kit. I bought a timing chain set that had the 93 model sprocket on it, which I got it out there in the scrap, and it does not have. It's got ½ inch more metal on it than the other one does.
You got some gears in the scrap? I need to get them so we can send them to 3D machines.
All right, well, let me get the gear and show. It's right here.
Clay's going to get the gear.
Okay, this is the gear, and it would be for a 6.2 or a 6.5 all the way up to 93. And you can tell there's a substantial size difference in the distance here. And this, as you can tell, the harmonic balancer goes in and touches the front of that timing gear.
Oh, that's the harmonic balancer right there?
No, that's not. That's the gear. That's the
this is part of the gear.
But see, the harmonic balancer back in here, it's pushed all the way up against this. So if I had this in here, the harmonic balancer would not work.
Oh, okay.
So
is that a new gear?
this is a brand new gear.
Okay, so that's the old gear?
Yeah, but there's...
Are you okay with it?
Yeah, there's nice slop in it.
Okay.
The other gear's new. The big gear on here is new.
Okay, so that's a brand new gear.
If I would have paid attention to this, because I thought this was maybe a two-piece deal, but this is a pickup for the crank position sensor, which I didn't realize at the moment. But that's what it is. So there's a possibility this motor was a 94 and up motor, and whenever the motor went out in this truck, they replaced it with this motor. Or whatever happened on the front cover of that other one may possibly have wiped out the timing chain set, but I highly doubt it.
But you just nip the wires on the sensor.
Yep.
And because we don't need it because we don't have a computer.
No, and you don't want, if you have a computerized version of the 6.5, you might as well go over to the mechanical pump because that's the only problem.
I see green.
Yeah, I put all brand new seals in that because it was leaking. Somebody
A little dirty oil.
took like an O-ring that was smaller and bigger and cut it and put it in there. Tried to make it work and it was leaking pretty bad.
Okay.
It's got new freeze plugs.
Oh.
Just put those in.
Look at the freeze plugs. We don't have the freeze plug that has the
It's the block heater.
block heater.
I took it out because we don't have.
We eliminated it. We've never used the block heater here in Texas. It stays warm enough. It's not an issue.
The truck makes a lot of noise to fire up, but it starts up.
And honestly, here in Texas, if it gets that cold, we're going back inside.
My Cummins will start on that kind of money. Yeah.
Too many cycles.
Well, the screen looks good on that oil pump.
Oh yeah, and
There's no bends, no nothing
there
in
wasn't
it.
even any trash on it.
That is nice.
And the oil pan was spotless.
All except for, Will, what's on the oil pan? Go ahead, Will. Tell us what the ding on the oil pan's from.
That's from a U-joint in the front axle.
We're referring to this ding right here.
Man, what happens when we're
Will took off driving down the road, and what we didn't know was that that truck had been in four-wheel drive. It had the wrong solenoid in the front axle.
and my dumb butt, I
And that-
connected the electronic sensor, and it wouldn't disengage.
Yeah.
The lights kept staying on, and I thought, oh, okay, it's fine. It's disengaged. It's no longer full
This
drive.
was after he sunk it to the frame in the backyard.
Wrong.
Well, that's why I fixed it in the first place. 'Cause I thought
But
the truck was
anyways, Will's driving down the road with it, and the front drive shafts came undone, started beating on stuff underneath the truck. Luckily, he wasn't going real fast when it happened, but he stopped, got it tied up.
The dry shaft turns
And
all the time.
brought it back home.
It turns.
Okay, everything's in my box.
Tell him about the piston. It's got 7 pistons in it.
It's got what? Tell us about the 7 pistons. Why does this 8-cylinder motor only have 7 pistons, Clay?
Well, when I was putting the ring was on the last piston, the oil seal ring on the very bottom, which is, I think it's a plastic with,
Or a composite?
or a composite, and it just broke.
Oh no, that's metal.
Is it metal?
That piece there is metal.
I know this.
Yeah.
It's got rings, but it's a
No,
very
it's
brittle.
Yeah,
metal,
it's a brittle metal.
and it just popped. So I've got a.
Well, you got to have it a little softer than the cylinder walls,
Yeah.
so that you're not gouging the cylinder walls.
Well, it just broke. So I got a single set. I found a single set of rings. It's the original GM part that will replace rings on one piston.
So Clay just put on the new rings on the last piston. He had this ring here, he broke from the set that he got. So now he's got this new set, and you don't want the gaps that you see here, the gaps in between the rings. You don't want those lined up. So Clay makes sure those are not lined up when he puts them in. But that is the last piston about to go in to the motor.
Got a brand new set of 40 horse marine injectors.
You got some marine injectors?
Rare. They just look like the originals. They ain't any different, but
Let's see. So these are marine.
they're 40 horse injectors.
So we're going to get an extra 40 horsepower out of these. Now you're going to do something with the injection pump to give it a little more fuel?
Well, I'll see. Well, I'm gonna put the turbo in the injection pump when we first get it running.
That's right. You're going to make something to control the back pressure on the turbo?
They call it a turbo master. It controls the wastegate.
You're going to make a wastegate control.
And it's gonna, so I can adjust it.
Awesome.